Hello, I'm Death's Arrow, and welcome to episode 7 of WoT I'm Thinking. In this episode, I'll be focusing on the AMX 1390 light tank. The AMX 1390 is a very versatile tank that's capable of scouting, sniping, and flanking. One of the unique features of this tank is the autoloader for the gun, which requires some caution so that you don't leave yourself exposed during the long magazine reload times. From a historical perspective, the AMX 13 is a French light tank designed in 1946 as a support tank for paratroopers. The tank is named after its initial weight of 13 tons and features an oscillating turret with revolver-type magazines on a tough and reliable chassis. The tank was produced from 1952 to 1987 with a production run of approximately 7,700 units. The tank was originally fitted with a 75mm high-velocity gun fed by a semi-automatic loading system in two 6-round magazines located in the turret's bustle. It was the first tank in the world to employ a semi-automatic loading system. Once the 12 rounds were expended, the vehicle required a lengthy reloading process, which could be accomplished outside the vehicle in approximately 15 minutes, or about twice as long inside the vehicle. In 1966, the 75mm gun was replaced by a 90mm medium-velocity gun, capable of firing heat munitions, hence the name AMX 1390. Later models were fitted with a 105mm gun. A number of production variants were created over the lifetime of the tank, including fitting the chassis with anti-tank missiles, anti-aircraft guns, and bridge-laying apparatus. The French exported the AMX 13 to 31 countries, with 14 countries still using the tank in service today. In World of Tanks, the AMX 1390 is the ultimate exploiter. I described the exploiting scouting technique in episode 4 of the series. What it boils down to is attacking the weak spots in the enemy lines and breaking through to create havoc. The AMX 1390 has similar speed and maneuverability characteristics as the M24 Chaffee, with a superior gun, which allows it to excel in the exploiting role. The challenge of the AMX 1390, as well as all of the French autoloading tanks, is magazine management. Once the 6 rounds from the current magazine are depleted, there is a lengthy reload time. In the case of the AMX 1390, that time is 40 seconds, and while the magazine reload is occurring, the tank is defenseless. This is also an issue at the beginning of a battle, where you must wait for the magazine to load before you can fire a shot. The key to handling the long magazine reload times is to have a plan. If you can't kill the target that you're currently attacking, then you must have an escape plan. A magazine can be force reloaded by hitting the C key. This is handy if you have a partial magazine left and have time to prepare for your next encounter. The AMX 1390, like most French tanks, has no armor, and as I mentioned in the previous episode, it means that your tank is essentially a pool of hit points. The 1390 does have a decent amount of health, which allows it to take multiple hits from the higher tiered targets that it typically encounters. It should also be noted that the AMX 1390 has poor gun depression and elevation. This is something that you'll notice with all the tanks in game that have oscillating turrets. For equipment on this tank, I use a vent to improve overall crew skill, an enhanced gun laying drive to improve aim times, and a camo net for when I want a passive scout. As an alternate option, mounting a binocular telescope will help with sniping. Please note that rammers are not allowed on autoloading tanks, and the only way to improve magazine reload times are a vent, the Brothers in Arms skill, and coffee. This tank also cannot mount a vertical stabilizer, which would come in handy as the AMX 1390 has poor accuracy on the move. For skills, I recommend camo first, as light tanks keep their camo rating while on the move. Other useful skills would be recon, snapshot, smooth ride, and Brothers in Arms. If you do go with Brothers in Arms, I recommend training it early as possible, since it is a perk and must be 100% before it works. My recommended upgrade path for this tank, assuming that you've eluded the AMX 1375, is as follows. Upgrade the engine first, then get the 90mm gun, and finally the tracks. The tracks aren't required to mount any modules or equipment on the tank, and don't add a lot of mobility, while the engine upgrade really improves mobility. While some might recommend the gun first, having the mobility to get the tank into position to use the gun is more critical as far as I'm concerned. The first replay that we'll be looking at is a solo battle on Live Oaks from June 9th, 2012. I did an introduction for the Live Oaks map in episode 4. Please see that episode if you'd like more information on this map. Reviewing tank composition for this battle shows the following. This is a Tier 9 battle with 4 Tier 9s per side. My team has more Tier 8s and 2 T50-2s. My team has better arty, but the enemy team has 4 arty compared to R3. My team has a mobility advantage, while the enemy's team has more slugging power. I don't recognize anyone in this match. I spawn at the northeastern base. One of our Type 59s is organizing a medium rush along the train tracks. I'm not inclined to follow them, as a big push that way will leave the town side of the map lightly defended. I decide that I'm going to cover the middle of the map, which gives me more flexibility.
Let's go.
As we move out from base, I can see that I made the right call, as our Jagdtiger and E50 haven't loaded in yet, which is going to leave 2 T54s and myself to defend town. As I get to my position in the middle, the enemy is making a push for town with their E75, E50, Object 704, Type 59, Tiger, and Ferdy. Once my first magazine is loaded, I begin to put fire on the Ferdy. I bounce a few rounds before finally getting a penetrating hit on his right track. With only 2 rounds remaining and no targets in sight, I back up and force a reload. Once my reload is nearly complete, I move back up to the house to spot. Looking at the minimap, town is still lightly defended. The team pushing the rail line is pushing hard and has encountered a medium. As the rail line attackers push through, they begin to light up Arty and an M6. I take this opportunity to put fire on the M6.
Penetration. We've hit them hard. That's gotta hurt. Penetration. Looks like that one
I get the
went right
M6
through.
down to 22 hit points as I run out of rounds, then back up while I reload. The rail line push turns out to be very successful as they knock enemy Arty out of the match. A friendly T50-2 makes a move on the Ferdy in front of me. I'm unable to help as I'm still reloading. Once my magazine is reloaded, I take a shot under the building but miss. I make my move on the Ferdy, take a hit, and then quickly circle behind and take him down.
Enemy armor hit. Looks like that one went right through. Enemy vehicle knocked down.
An enemy E75 has moved towards me as I finish off the Ferdy. I try to back into cover, but he hits me. I make a decision to move in on him, even though I'm down to 1 round. I bounce my remaining round and begin to circle the E75 while I reload. There's nothing I can do here to help our Type 59 as the E75 takes him out. I continue to circle and stay away from his gun. He He's pretty smart here, trying to change direction multiple times to try to get me into a situation where I have to back up, which might allow him to get his gun on me. No such luck for him, as I know how to counter these tricks. Once I load, I begin to fire on him again. As I round his rear, friendly Artie takes a shot and splashes me, taking out my gun. I understand why Artie took the shot. It was likely a bad move on their part though. I use my repair kit on my gun and unload the rest of my magazine into the E75. My final shot tracks him, and I decide to make my escape. I could continue to dance with the E75, but I've noticed that our OS A is in a bit of trouble. As I make my break from the E75, I head down towards the water, as the lower terrain will keep me from his line of fire. Looking at the mini-map, town is still holding, which I didn't expect considering how lightly it was defended. The E50 and Jagdtiger that were AFK have provided a much-needed lift. As I move in to help our OS A, the enemy Patton knocks him out. I circle around the building, taking the Patton by surprise, and quickly put him down. As I move over to the woods behind the enemy cap, the E75 hits the rear of my tank, taking out both of my tracks. With no repair kit, on top of having both tracks knocked off, I'm stuck for the moment and potentially in trouble. Once my tracks repair, I take off and try to put distance between myself and the E75. As I get behind hard cover, Artie begins to rain down on him and knocks him out. The enemy is now down to a weakened Tiger. I move to flank him. He takes 2 shots at me, but both miss. I go into the ditch here to make my move on him. But Artie knocks him out to finish the match. Looking at the victory screen, I killed 2 and earned 1,825 experience before the double, which is an excellent match. I hit 21 of 24 shots and damaged 2 tanks. Overall, going to the middle early was the correct choice as the bulk of the team pushed the railroad tracks. Using hard cover to protect yourself during a magazine reload is ideal, but if you're in the open against a single opponent, utilizing your mobility is a viable option. Also, don't be afraid to take a hit if it means that you can gain an advantage on your opponent. The second replay that we'll be looking at is a platoon battle on Westfield from May 25th, 2012. I am platooned with Major Defeat in his AMX 1390 and Reptorian 6 in his M12. The map for this battle is Westfield. This map consists of a town located in the center of the map with a valley running along the south and eastern side. A damaged bridge crossing the valley is located near Base 2. The bases are located at the southwest and northeast corners. This map differs from any other map due to having 2 spawn locations for each team. Heavies and TDs will spawn adjacent to town on top of the hill, while mediums, lights, and Artie will spawn at each team's base. Occasionally, Artie and mediums will spawn on the hill due to team composition. Neither side of the map has a particular advantage over the other. Generally speaking, there are 3 main avenues of attack on this map: the northern flank, the town, and the eastern valley. The northern flank and town will generally get pushed by heavies, while the eastern valley usually sees the mediums and lights. This is due to the way the teams spawn on the map, although faster heavies will sometimes skirt town and head over to the valley. Reviewing tank composition for this battle shows the following. This is a Tier 10 battle with a single Tier 10 per side. The enemy team has a big advantage at Tier 9 with 4 Tier 9s compared to our 2. Our team has more Tier 8s as well as 3 AMX 1390s. The enemy team has better Artie, but we have 3 Artie pieces. I do not recognize anyone in this battle. We spawn at Base 2 in the northeast corner. Based on tank composition, we need to play this conservatively. The enemy has better heavies and a bat chat. Major and I decide to climb the hill and get up on the east side of the bridge. We maneuver into soft cover behind bushes and wait to see what develops. A panther is spotted across the valley. We aim up and put fire on him.
That's gotta hurt. We nailed it bad.
You can see how potent burst damage is as we quickly put the panther down.
Armor is destroyed.
I maintain my position in cover and force a reload. With no targets in sight, I may as well reload my magazine. It appears that our IS-7 has gotten himself killed already. This is not a good sign. As our Lorraine moves up, he spots an enemy 1390. With the enemy so far out, I decide to move up to support the Lorraine rather than waste shells trying to get a hit. Looking at the minimap, our other 1390 has pushed through to the rear of the enemy base and has lit up the enemy Arty. I spot the enemy's Object 704 and put a few rounds into his side before he begins to turn towards me. This is my cue to back up. I then take a shot at the enemy's Arty, which I knock out.
They're knocked out.
Major has taken up a nice spotting position here in front of my location. I back up and force a reload, giving me an opportunity to see where things stand. While we are winning the match kill-wise, the enemy has some powerful tanks left, including their Object 704, Batchat, and IS-4. Our advantage is that we still have Arty while they do not. I spot a KV-2 and IS-4 across the valley. Unfortunately, I'm still reloading, so other than spotting them, there isn't much I can do at the moment. Our T-30 gets knocked out, putting us in pretty dire straits here, with only 3 tanks remaining outside of Arty. Once my magazine reloads, I put fire on the KV-2.
Ricochet. Penetration. They're hit. Penetration. We didn't
Until I run out of rounds. It also looks like I've been spotted as the KV-2 fires in my direction. I relocate to better cover so I can continue to spot their tanks across the valley. Major takes some hard hits, but stays alive so we can finish off the enemy's KV-2. But he gets knocked out by their Object 704 right after. Things are really dire now, as I'm the only remaining tank to take on the enemy. I force another reload, only to spot the enemy's IS-4 seconds later. I move to pursue and keep him lit for Artie, and they knock him down. I take up a new spotting position. I can't really go on the attack alone, and I need to stay reasonably close to Artie to protect them. The enemy's fast movers charge from the north. Artie takes down their 1390. But the Bat Chat goes on a rampage, quickly knocking down two of our Artie. I race back towards base as the Bat Chat moves in on Raptorian. It turns out that the Bat Chat is reloading. He has Raptorian pinned to protect himself. Without any rounds loaded though, he's easy prey for me to take down. Assuming that the Object 704 will camp base, I force a reload and move up the hill towards town. Raptorian plans to follow me up the hill and get ready for the final attack. Once Raptorian is in position, I make my scouting run across the top of the ridge, overlooking the enemy base. Partway through the run, Raptorian spots the 704. I turn around and race back to base. I take a route under the bridge to get into a flanking position on the 704. I slow down and take aim on the enemy. I carefully take my shots, but get a 0 damage critical, then a bounce, and finally a kill shot as the 704 turns towards me to win the match. Looking at the victory screen, I made 4 kills, earned 1,315 experience, and hit 18 of 19 shots. Overall, playing conservatively was the right call for this match. The enemy had better hardware and firepower. I showed a lot of patience throughout, and it paid off. I was able to stay alive and had a big impact at the end of the match. The power of passive scouting was on display here, and it was quite effective. Thank you for watching this episode of What I'm Thinking. Stay tuned for another episode soon. I want to thank all of my subscribers, as episode 1 of this series recently hit 1,000 views. It's very humbling that so many people have watched my videos. Thank you again.